cars heading out now onto their formation lap for the second race of the weekend in the Ginetta GT Academy. They had one race yesterday, a race that was won very convincingly by Mark Warren for Raceway Motorsport, getting the victory by nearly 12 seconds over Nick White in second and Ed Akers in third. The grid for this second race, however, is based upon second fastest lap times from qualifying, so a slightly more jumbled grid, and it's headed by Leo Caravasili and Mark Warren alongside. Tom Holland and Danny Dwyer make up the second row of the grid. Mackenzie Walker and Alistair Barkley are on row 3 together ahead of Michael Johnston and Ravi Ramid 8 on the grid. Row 5 back into the top 10 is where we find Ed Akers for Century Motorsport and Nick White in the number 57 car. Then it's Lee Frost and Martin Wills on the 6th row of the grid, whilst row 7 sees Tom Hartley Jr. and Julian Wadling together, a Century Motorsport driver just ahead of the Assetto Motorsport car. Then it is Richard Sykes and Sebastian Dubois on row number 8. Row 9 for Maurizio Sciglio and Thomas Shelley in the 76 Want to Race car, and Thomas Shelley, one of the leading AM contenders on the grid. Gary Wager and Mike West round out the top 20 of what is a much inflated grid this year, the second season for this championship. We've got 30 of them set to line up here, just outside that top 20 are Mark Ellman and Lee Goldsmith. Mark Steele and John Carney are next. That's the 12th row of the grid. Row 13 for Marco Anastasi and Joel Wren. Whilst the 14th row is where we find Robin Grimwood with Dan Rathbone, another one of the rookie drivers alongside, whilst the field rounded out by Sean Fleming and Steve Williams. So yeah, 30 cars in this Ginetta GT Academy field, which is a really impressive feat actually. Only the second season of racing for the GT Academy, a championship that was introduced at the start of 2021, the latest addition to Ginetta's stable of one-mate championships, an entry-level series which I wouldn't say replaced the GRDC category, but certainly is now of that kind of level, essentially. An all-inclusive package for drivers within the rookie class, which sort of does replace the GRDC, and then in the pro class, if you like, or the main class, the GTA class as they call it, is where we see some really very talented drivers, actually very promising drivers indeed, in these very competitive 3.7 litre V6 engined Ginetta GTA cars, based on the G55, of course. They may look very similar to the G55 GT4 car, but these cars carrying just 270 brake horsepower, I say just, that's still plenty, top speed of around 140 miles an hour, and a very, very rapid car. The main difference between this and the GT4 spec car really is that these do not run on slick tyres. They run on a road legal Michelin tyre, so the cars have plenty of power but actually not a huge amount of grip. They're very good tyres, but they're not as grippy as a full racing slick would be, and that leads to quite a bit of sliding around occasionally through the corners, lots of action out on the track, and I'm sure that 25 minutes around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit is going to provide plenty more of that. So, the front of the grid then seems to be minus Leo Caravasili, so that's just Mark Warren and Thomas Holland on that front row together then. So on the left, Mark Warren, on the right, Thomas Holland. Not sure what happened to Leo, who was supposed to be starting on pole position, but the red lights go on. 25 minutes of racing gets underway. One or two of them a bit more eager than others to get off the line, and certainly in the midfield, one or two really slow starters. Let's hope everyone avoids them. The race lead, though, held by Mark Warren as they descend upon Copse Corner and head through that quick right-hander to start the lap, to start the race. And Mark Warren leads the way from Thomas Holland in second place, both drivers who have moved up through the Ginetta Racing ranks into the GT Academy for 2022. Now down towards Maggots and Beckett's they will head for the first time. They're the race leader then, car number 46, Mark Warren, who heads through the Maggots-Beckett sequence for the first time. Warren, as I said, a dominant winner yesterday, but behind him there was lots of action, bit of argy-bargy going on there. That was the 42 car on the receiving end of that, I think, 42 being Mike West, and I think he just about held onto the car, just about held onto the position as well. So there go the race leaders. Into second goes Danny Dwyer, car number 23, so Thomas Holland losing a bit of ground in the 74 car as they went through the first few corners, and there you can see what I mean. These cars slipping and sliding around on their road legal tyres down at Stowe Corner. A variety of lines taken through there as drivers try and find some clear track and try and find a little bit of grip as well. Curb hopping going on there for the 21 car of Richard Sykes. Gathers that together nicely. So leader breaking away, then two of them for second place. That's Dwyer and Walker. White there in fifth. So Thomas Holland dropped all the way down to sixth position. He's at the head of that big group of cars just about to descend upon Abbey Corner. The screeching of tyres need not alarm you. That is, again, just the distinctive sound of a road tyre being abused out on a racetrack. Lots of tyre screeching as they make their way through some of the high-speed corners. 98 there is Lee Frost going from the inside at Village back to the other side of the road to get the inside at the loop, I should say, and trying to just lever aside the car ahead. Couldn't quite get the job done. They remain single file down the Wellington Straight towards now the end of the first lap of racing. So it is Mark Warren that will lead the way. We're going to see some moves further back. Yes, of course we are. That's Ravi Ramid up the inside, and he will now take away a place from Lee Frost. So that's seventh place for Frost, and who then spins right in the middle of the pack. Let's hope they all avoid him. And, well, Lee Frost, having lost that position, ultimately ends up losing several more by just looping it, going out of Brooklands Corner. Again, cold tyres, just a little bit too eager maybe with the right foot there, and around he went. So Warren leading the way, Dwyer second and Walker third. Then this the fight for, well, fifth really, because actually Nick White in fourth is kind of on his own. Johnston and Holland together for fifth place, and then the rest of them start to stream their way through. Still no answer then on what happened to Leo Caravasoli. I did see actually a car heading for the pit lane at the end of their out lap from the assembly area, so I'm surmising here that that may well have been him. Indeed, there's another car now heading into the pit lane, which I think may be Lee Frost. So Lee Frost after the spin at Brooklands, going no further. Gary Wager and Lee Goldsmith also never came round at the end of the first lap, so they potentially were non-starters as well. Right, fight for second place. From the outside to the inside line goes Mackenzie Walker, and Walker will go through on the inside in the number 70 car, so Mackenzie into P2. And again, much as we saw yesterday, really, the fighting for second on back, really allowing Mark Warren, who's an experienced Ginetta racer at this point, to make the break at the front. His opening gambit was a 2 minutes 24.9 from a standing start, of course. They'll go quicker than that on this lap, but already he was 2.4 seconds up the road from Dwyer at the time. Now Mackenzie Walker into P2. Out wide goes Dwyer there, out of Club Corner, getting perilously close to that new gravel trap that's been constructed ahead of the start of the 2022 racing season here at Silverstone. And towards the quick right-hander at Abbey through farm. Now, yellow flags at Village, so one of those cars that I mentioned was absent at the end of lap one, may well be at the side of the track down at this area of the circuit. Meanwhile, a move being made there, that was number 74 of the inside line. That was Thomas Holland. So Thomas Holland, the purple car, having started third, which essentially became second, started to pick his way back through the order. Right, this was Ravi Ramid, up the inside of Lee Frost. Now, he appears to make the move cleanly. Yes, he does, but then Lee, I think in trying to retaliate, yes, gets too tight, takes too much of the curb, and around he goes. And actually, look at that right rear tyre on Lee Frost's car, as there was a spin in sympathy for Tom Hartley Jr. But I reckon hitting that curb actually popped the right rear tyre off the rim. I saw a puff of smoke. I wouldn't mind seeing that again, actually, if we get a chance. I saw a puff of smoke, and then as he spun, I think the tyre was very much off the rim. Right, Lee Goldsmith was the other driver I was missing, so I think we've now accounted for everybody, because he's being pushed out of the way somewhere around the middle part of the lap, and I think that now means we know roughly where everyone got to in the opening stages. So 2 laps in the book, 5 minutes completed, 3.5 seconds now is Mark Warren's advantage over Mackenzie Walker, now into second place after that move down at Stowe Corner on Danny Dwyer. And then those two being caught slightly, I would argue, by Nick White, who started 10th and is up into 4th place already. Thomas Holland into 5th place, as we saw, getting himself ahead of Johnston, with Ramid 7th, leading the rookie contenders. Rami Ramid, there he goes in the white and green car. Then number 44 is Martin Wills, who started 12th and is up into 8th position. Alistair Barkley is 9th, and Ed Akers rounds out the top 10. The rookie contingent, again, dominated by Ravi Ramid in this race, as it was yesterday, despite Ravi's involvement in one or two on-track incidents. But he again enjoys a comfortable margin over the next of the rookies, which is car number 25. That's the car of John Carney, all the way down in 14th place. On your screen is Martin Wills, the Pink Panther liveried car, which is just about fending off Alistair Barkley and Ed Akers. This is 8th, 9th and 10th coming through club. On the third lap off the race, and Ed Akers running really, really wide there over the curb, getting the tail hanging out, making his way along the Lewis Hamilton straight down towards Abbey Corner, this dauntingly quick right-hander. Again, these cars with not an abundance of grip, it must be said, which is all part of the appeal, really. Make the cars a little bit tricky to drive, and they're a lot more fun to drive as a result. Big dive up the inside there for Ed Akers. Is he going to make that one stick? No, Alistair Barkley in the white car had the momentum from the outside line and then covers off the inside into the loop, so no way through for the orange machine, and actually a really slow exit then from Akers means that not only does Barkley get away, but the 21 car behind starts to creep ever closer to him, the 21 being Richard Sykes in 11th place. Down towards Brooklands they go. There's Ravi Ramyud leading in the rookie category. Already black and white warning flags being given out to a couple of drivers. Alistair Barkley is one of them now. It must be for a track limits indiscretion, surely. Leader comes through now and sets another new fastest lap, a 2:22.644, which is underneath the pole position time for this race, actually. And I would imagine he's quicker than he went. He did a 22.57 yesterday, did Mark Warren. So he's slacking a little bit, half a tenth or so off. Car off at Brooklands, that's number 22, rejoining Mark Steele. Started 23rd, but he was actually running in 12th position, and also off is number 27. And that is up at the loop, I think, which was Steve Williams, who was the slowest of the qualifiers yesterday. And was running towards the back of the field, and he's had a loop at the loop, I think, and will now be a little bit further detached from the rest of the field. You don't get much more detached than this, though. Mark Warren, after 3 racing laps, 4.3 seconds up the road. Class of the field this weekend at Silverstone. Mackenzie Walker second, and having passed Danny Dwyer, he's rocketed off up the road, and Dwyer falls back into the clutches now of Nick White, who goes on the inside of him at Stowe Corner, relieves Dwyer of 3rd position, but they're both being caught by the purple and white car of Thomas Holland, who qualified 3rd for this race, but after a sluggish start and a bad run through the first few corners, finds himself with work to do to get back into the podium places. He'll want to get past Dwyer quickly here because he can already see that Nick White is escaping up the road, gets the overlap coming through the 2 apexes at Club Corner, buys him then the preferred line through the 2nd apex, through he will go. They both sort of trip over each other a little bit though, and so the car behind, which is Johnston, Michael Johnston, also gets involved, gets past Danny Dwyer, who loses 3 places in half a lap there. Holland will indeed go through into 4th position, all being caught by Ravi Ramyud, who may be a rookie driver, but doesn't mean that he can't contend still for the overall championship. We very much saw that last year, albeit on a smaller grid for the championship's first season. We saw rookie drivers winning lots of the races as the season went on, even right from the very get-go. Rookie drivers up there leading laps and scoring good points, so no real surprise to see Ravi in the top 10 here solidly, and perhaps in contention for a top 5. Down through Brooklands then, 15.5 minutes left on the clock, and Thomas Holland in 5th place, now trying, sorry, 4th place, excuse me, now trying to go back after Nick White. There goes the 44 of Martin Wills, Alistair Barkley behind him still, so they're all still in the same order there at the back of the top 10. That's Ed Akers running wide at the exit of Midfield Corner. Ed had set a purple first sector faster than anybody else on that lap, but that gravelly moment at the final corner loses him a little bit more time, and he crosses the line actually over a second behind Alistair Barkley, 3/10 slower than him over the lap. Martin Wills inventing his own line at Cobb's Corner, runs very wide over the tarmac runoff area, kicks up some of the rubber marbles discarded after our 3-hour GT race, as well as the other on-track activities through the day, which is a factor in these races. Certainly to overtake you have to go off the usual racing line and onto the dirtier side of the road. Now it's what you have to do to overtake, but it means that you have to take that into account. You have a tighter line often, and there's a bit less grip there. Very easy to overshoot into braking when you do eventually go for the move. More drivers now being warned about track limits. The rate at which they're being warned, bearing in mind we still have 14 minutes and 20 seconds to go, makes me rather fearful that we might not have heard the last of track limits in this one. We could potentially see a few time penalties added on at the end of the race. It wouldn't be unheard of, certainly here at Silverstone, where I mean, you can see the temptation to use all of the extra tarmac runoff area. Anything beyond that white line, unless it's a painted curb, a black and white painted curb, is deemed to be off track. And you can see several of them taking liberties with that. And there we go. As I say that, 5-second penalty for Alistair Barkley for, guess what, exceeding track limits. So the number 99 car of Alistair Barkley, which is the third of those cars in shot, being given a 5-second penalty, and that gets added on to the time by TSL timing. And so on corrected tyres, we'll be able to see where he is come the end of the lap. Just starting to separate at the front part of the grid, but behind some good battling going on, and we can see there actually those three being joined very much by Richard Sykes in the number 21 in 11th place, so a four-way fight for 8th developing. Also some good scrapping going on even further down the order. Number 6 is the car of Dan Rathbone. He started 28th, 22nd he was at the start of the lap, and I think he's well, he's in danger maybe of losing that place here to the number 22 car, which does get up the inside there of Mark Steele. Mark Steele gets the inside through Aintree Corner, will go back ahead. So lots of progress made by Rathbone, but you can see the novice cross on the back of his car, the black cross in the yellow background, denoting that he is a racing novice and therefore obviously running within the rookie class in the Ginetta GT Academy. Now, side-by-side action here, and Ed Akers has got himself ahead of Alistair Barkley. So forget corrected tyres, Barkley slipping down the road, on the road as well, as Ed Akers snatches that 9th place away from him. Now, where did Sykes go in all of that? Because Sykes, I thought, was catching that group, but had a slow third sector, did Sykes, Richard Sykes, and so actually what was potentially going to become a four-way fight settles out with just the 3 cars involved for now. What did change was Martin Wills getting himself ahead of Danny Dwyer, so Mills now 7th, see, in the Pink Panther. Try and use that clean air to chase on after the cars ahead. Now, Mark Warren won yesterday's race by over 11 seconds, only 5 seconds clear in this one. I'm not suggesting he's in any danger, but there he is, the race-leading car of Mark Warren. Car run and prepared by the excellent squad, Raceway Motorsport, very experienced with Ginettas, both these kind of Ginettas and also the GT5 Challenge Ginettas that will be up a little bit later on in the afternoon. And yeah, Mark Warren certainly still comfortably the fastest driver out there, the only driver that can get into the 2 minutes 22s, but perhaps just pacing himself in this one, knowing that it's a 25-minute race, it's a long race. What he doesn't need to be doing is pushing on unnecessarily and picking up maybe track limits penalties or wearing the tyres out excessively. Down into Village comes Martin Wills in the pink car, getting away now from Dwyer and Akers. So Akers the one on the move then, having taken 9th away from Alistair Barkley on the previous lap. We've seen him making a couple of mistakes, Ed Akers, but when he's in the groove, he's as quick as anyone, and a bit of a wobble there for Dwyer might give Akers the opportunity to have a go down the Wellington straight. You can see he's only a car length or so behind as they go down that back straight and towards the braking zone at Brooklands. The orange car, oh no, well, he doesn't dive out of line, he drives into the back of Danny Dwyer, very much pushes him wide and goes through. Damage done to the front of Akers' car, damage done to the back of Dwyer's machine, and Alistair Barkley says, thank you very much, I'll have some freebies, goes in ahead of the Dwyer machine, which, well, that rear bodywork is only going to get looser as the air catches on it. Here's the replay. So I was about to say Ed Akers dives to the inside because he was more than close enough to do it. For some reason didn't, but still braked an awful lot later than Dwyer ahead. And in the end, they met in the middle, contact made. Dwyer did well not to lose it, actually. You can see there the opposite lock being applied to the front axle. And, well, Akers gets the place, but one suspects that Dwyer may have something to say about that post-race. It's entirely possible that the clerk of the course will as well. So there goes Barkley, who has the 5-second penalty to be applied. Akers, who's carrying front-end damage. And behind, you can see that bodywork getting looser and looser for Danny Dwyer. Almost certain that he will have to head to the pit lane. Bit of tyre rub there on the right front corner of, oh, a bit of bodywork flying off, I think, actually, from the Dwyer car I saw in the background. Has it disappeared completely? Yes, that left rear corner is gone now. And you can see the grooves in that road legal Michelin tyre, which yields just enough grip, but not enough that the drivers have too easy a time of it out there. But yeah, I was starting to say a bit of tyre rub to the front right corner of Akers' car, but nothing too concerning. So I don't think he will be forced into the pit lane. And now that Dwyer has shed that rear wing, probably also will be free to stay on track. It's only really loose bodywork that tends to get you called in with the meatball flag to get that seen to by the team. Okay, so fight for third now perhaps becomes the place to turn, because just 9/10 of a second at the start of the lap separated Nick White in third position from Thomas Holland in fourth. White was second in yesterday's race, Holland was fourth, so Thomas looking to try and improve upon that. Nick White, though, will be a little bit disappointed that Mackenzie Walker is getting away, although Mackenzie was a non-finisher yesterday. So, second spin of the race for Tom Hartley Jr., who was already down in 17th after his first off-track excursion, when he sort of spun in sympathy with Lee Frost coming to the end of lap 1 through Brooklands. This time around, he's found a different bit of the Silverstone scenery to visit. Again, rejoined with no obvious damage done to the car, but lots of damage done to his prospects of scoring good points. There goes Mackenzie Walker second. There goes Nick White in third. Thomas Holland catching him by about 3-4 tenths every lap. He's now 6 tenths behind, though, so you sense he's not going to get any closer until he actually has a go at getting through. There goes Akers, still keeping Barkley at bay. So Barkley, this 5 seconds not actually being added onto the timing screen yet, but if we manually work it out, it would drop him probably only 1 place, actually. He's 7 tenths ahead of Richard Sykes, but Sykes is then 5.1 ahead of the number 42 car behind him of Mike West. So actually, only the 1 place would be lost here for Alistair Barkley. I don't think he's worrying too much about that time penalty now, though, getting stuck in here to trying to find a way ahead of Akers in front of him. Further back, we revisit Dan Rathbone, excuse me, in the number 6 machine, running 24th, 5th of the rookie drivers. As they rattle over that curve through Maggots into Beckett's, the most spectacular part of the circuit, really, this high-speed change of direction from the left to the right, to the left to the right, and then left again, an ever-tightening sequence of corners as well, which adds its own challenge. Julian Montman we're seeing here in the number 28 car, who is now ahead of number 22, Mark Steele, the Toro Verde driver, carrying a little bit of damage from an earlier skirmish. That place changing in the first sector on that lap. Thomas Holland continuing to apply the pressure here to Nick White ahead of him in their fight for the third step of the podium. As they head through Aintree Corner, they will move their way towards the end of the Wellington Straight, and we know this is a place where you can try to overtake. I'm not sure that Holland's quite close enough, and indeed he isn't, so positions stay as they were. Right, more track limits bingo numbers to be called. Numbers 20, 22 and 23 all getting penalties. So 20 is Ed Akers, so that's track limits 5-second penalty, and that's before he starts arguing the toss after his contact with Danny Dwyer, who is also being given a 5-second track limits penalty. Off at Luffield goes somebody, or not off, but pointing the wrong way. Who's this then, who has gone around at the end of the lap? Car turns to the left. We will see it's Ed Akers. From bad to even badder to even worse then for Akers. Contact, then a 5-second track limits penalty, and then a spin. Now, the conspiracy theorist in me feels the need to point out that the driver behind him was Danny Dwyer, with whom he tangled at that sequence a few laps ago. Another one off now, that's number 88, dropping like flies at this stage of the race. Mark Ellman, the want-to-race driver, want-to-race winning all of the rookie contenders, having a spin at Brooklands, and this is how he got there. He's on the inside line, and, well, he and the number 50 car of Robin Grimwood, both trying to give each other room, actually, I reckon. And I think what happened there is that Ellman wanted to stay behind, but realised he had to brake a bit harder to avoid running into the back of Robin Grimwood. And as he applied a bit more brake pressure, he's locked the rear brakes and gone round. So a costly spin there that will drop him right down the order. Mark Warren leads the way, but much as we saw yesterday, it's a case of what could have been here, really, because Leo Caravasoli, who, by the way, has, according to my timing screen, gone out on track now and set the fastest lap of the race at 2:22.599, half a tenth or so quicker than Mark Warren has managed. Could have been a much closer race at the front had Caravasoli been able to start this race and finish yesterday's race, which he failed to do. He's out there in 28th place. He'll pick up maybe one more place to Lee Frost, who retired to the pit lane at the end of lap 1. It's probably not going to be enough for points. That would be 22nd in the GTA class. So into Village and the Loop comes the 11th place battle then. Number 42 in that 11th place is Mike West. Just keeping a couple of rookie drivers at bay, actually, and there's a big lunge up the inside. There's a bit of door banging goes on, going into the loop, and a bit of door banging coming out of the loop as well. That was rather robust driving. The 25 car getting mugged a little bit there, you'd have to say, and that is the third place of the rookie drivers in Carney, John Carney, who I was about to say was right on the tail of the second placed rookie, Thomas Shelley, but now there's a bit of separation between the two of them. The aggressor there was car number 25, muscling its way through. And that's, no, sorry, John Carney, excuse me, 25 was losing out, wasn't he? So Carney had Sebastian Dubois behind him at the start of the lap, suspecting Sebastian was also moving past him there through the loop. So they streak back across the line. We've got 3 minutes, under 3 minutes to go. So this lap and one more, this will be the penultimate lap of the second round of the 2022 Ginetta GT Academy. Season opener here at Silverstone, having to wait quite late in the season for their first round. As we see a replay now, oh, this is a replay of, yes, it was Dubois, who was off the track to start with, got back on the track, locked up, rattled down the side of Carney's number 25 car on the way in, and then decided he hadn't quite done the job properly and gave him another love tap coming off the corner. So he got the place, but I don't think he gained a friend in John Carney there. He will possibly have words with Sebastian after the race. But yes, quite a late start to the season for the GT Academy season, which will be back on the GT package at Donington Park on the 28th, 29th of May. Then they visit Alton Park, Brands Hatch Grand Prix, again with British GT, and likewise October 15th, 16th at Donington Park for their second visit to the Midlands circuit. And again, that will be part of our Donington Decider weekend in the British GT Championship. So great to have the GT Academy on board for much of their season. Again, not a particularly long season, and that's all part of this idea of keeping the costs down over the year. The more races you have, the more money you have to spend. It's a bit of a no-brainer, so they give them a good amount of track time when they're on the bill, but limited to just the 6 events through the year. Makes it an ideal entry-level Ginetta series, this. Now, this is the fight for third position, and Thomas Holland very nearly just tapping a bit of Morse code there onto the tail of the Nick White number 57 car. The MRM racing driver just keeping the Raceway Motorsport car behind. Holland trying to make it 2 Raceway Motorsport cars on the podium. Mackenzie Walker in second, run by Assetto Motorsport, who of course also run cars in the British GT Championship, but are a name synonymous really with Ginetta's these days. Mackenzie Walker looks good to get them a podium finish here, but as we start the final lap of the race, the real question is who is going to be joining Mark Warren and Mackenzie Walker on the podium. Will it be Nick White, who has held this third place for most of the race, or will it be Thomas Holland, who started ahead of Nick on the grid, but dropped back at the start and has got himself back into fourth quite quickly, but then spent the last 10 minutes staring at the rear bodywork of the number 57 car ahead of him. Back down the hangar straight then, both of them utilising a little bit of that new tarmac runoff area going on to the hangar straight. Holland definitely close enough to get a bit of a tow here. He's going to look to the inside. Is he brave enough on the brakes? Well, the side's better of it, but in the end, that little peek to the inside might have been enough because it forced Nick White to drive a bit more defensively into Stowe than he would have liked, and that, I thought, might have slowed him down on the exit, but actually Holland is still no closer to getting the overlap as they head into Club Corner. Very sideways for White through the left-hander. That means he's slightly offline for the right-hander, and again Holland with the wider sweeping lines is carrying the momentum well. 5-second penalty now being applied to car number 20, Ed Akers. I think we'd been warned about that earlier on, and now, 10-second penalty, so it's been upgraded now, having exceeded track limits once too often. He did it twice too often then and got given another 5 seconds added on, so 10-second penalty for he and Alistair Barkley. So Barkley, number 99, running in 8th place, and of course Ed Akers further down the order in 16th now after his spin at Luffield. Thomas Holland, though, running out of opportunities here to find a way ahead of Nick White, who is still occupying this third place with now just a couple of corners to go. Out of Aintree down the Wellington Straight. If Holland's going to do it, it will have to be under braking down into Brooklands, you'd imagine. And I think Nick White imagines that might be the case because, look, he just wanders over to the inside of the road. Absolutely no way he's letting Tom Holland have the inside line. So Holland goes to the outside, tries to brave it to the right-hand side of the road through Brooklands corner. That could give him the inside for Luffield, but not if Nick White has anything to do about it. He muscles his way over to the inside line and defends the place really, really well. The checkered flag is out, though, for the second time this weekend for Mark Warren. He takes the double in the opening round for the Ginetta GT Academy in 2022. Second goes to Mackenzie Walker, which somewhat makes up for his non-finish yesterday. And the battle for third place will be decided in the favour of Nick White by exactly 0.2 of a second over Thomas Holland, who still recovered reasonably well there into fourth position. Fifth place on the road goes to number 12, Michael Johnston, ahead of Ravi Ramyeed, sixth, then Martin Wills in seventh, and then we start to get the changes because Alistair Barkley was being given a 5-second time penalty, so he drops down, 10-second penalty, excuse me, drops from 8th down to 10th, so Richard Sykes inherits 8th, Danny Dwyer 9th, and Alistair Barkley will round out the top 10. Ravi Ramyeed wins in the rookie category, of course, and second in that class will go the way of number 76, Thomas Shelley. Third in the rookies should, I think, be John Carney, although he's not actually come through on this final lap, so I think we may have lost John Carney somewhere, and he may lose his podium finish to Dan Rathbone as a result. In fact, that looks like it's going to happen. None of this, though, matters particularly to Mark Warren. He's the overall winner. There is Ravi Ramyeed, who also claims the double in the rookie class. Finished 11th overall yesterday, a much stronger 6th this time. And as I made the point, you score points based on your overall finishing position. So there is a separate rookie championship, but it's based upon where you finished overall. So it's to entice the rookie drivers to get stuck in amongst the GTA class drivers. The cars are all exactly the same. It is literally just all down to driver experience as to which class you end up being entered into. So, race victory number 2 of the weekend, and indeed of the season for Mark Warren. He does the double in Ginetta GT Academy at Silverstone. Second goes the way of Mackenzie Walker, with Nick White in third. Thomas Holland fourth. Fifth place for Johnston, with Ravi Ramyeed in sixth, winning in the rookie class. Then it was Martin Wills, Richard Sykes, Danny Dwyer and Alistair Barkley. Barkley dropping back by 10 seconds from his actual 8th place finishing position due to a 10-second track limits penalty. Then it was the second rookie driver, Thomas Shelley, to back up his third place in class yesterday ahead of Sebastian Dubois, Mike West, then it was Sciglio and Wren to round out the top 15. Great to have so many of the GT Academy drivers out there, though. You can see we need the full second page of the results now to tell you that it was Marco Anastasi in 16th place, Sean Fleming 17th, Tom Hartley Jr. after 2 spins was 18th, Ed Akers after a spin and contact finished in 19th place ahead of Julian Wantling. Then Steele, John Carney did eventually cross the line, but after a really slow final lap, so he must have had another off on that lap. Still retains third in the rookie class, though, just by 3 seconds over Dan Rathbone behind him, and Grimwood, Elman and the rest in tow. So entertaining stuff from the Ginetta GT Academy. As I said, they're back with us for our next British GT round at Donington Park on the 29th of May. Highlights then of the second race of the season for the Ginetta GT Academy, and it was Mark Warren who led from start to finish then, inheriting pole position after a non-start mysteriously for Leo Caravasoli. It was Warren that led them into turn 1, whilst the purple and black number 74 of Thomas Holland, that should have held a podium place through the first few corners, fell right down the order and spent much of the first half of the race trying to reclaim that lost ground. Holland indeed was at the centre of much of the early action, as was the 98 car of Lee Frost, who was dicing with him there. Then a couple of corners later lost a place to Ravi Ramyeed, hit the curb, the right rear tyre popped off the rim, and around he went with Tom Hartley Jr. spinning in sympathy. There were quite a few that dropped by the wayside early on. Lee Goldsmith there being pushed away. Gary Wade was also an early retiree, whilst the fight-back drive from Thomas Holland was pretty impressive. They're getting past Danny Dwyer at Club Corner. Ahead of the field, Mackenzie Walker had got himself back into P2 ahead of Nick White, who was now being caught by Thomas Holland. Once Holland got into fourth, he started to reel him in through the middle part of the race as Ed Akers and Danny Dwyer made close acquaintance down at Brooklands corner with damage done to both cars. One or two of them were sporting more wounds after earlier collisions, a sign of just how close and competitive it gets out there in Ginetta GT Academy racing. spin here, going down into Brooklyn's corner for 2 cars, sent them off to the wayside. Robin Grimwood was one, and the other one was Mark Ellman. Sebastian Dubois was roughing up some of the rookie drivers on his charge up the order to 12th place, but nobody could stop Mark Warren, who took the victory in both of the races here at Silverstone in dominant fashion. So the Ginetta GT Academy off to a really, really strong start in 2022. They're back at Donington Park with us on the GT package on the 28th and 29th of May, so be sure to tune in then to see all of the action. For now, though, from the Ginetta GT Academy here at Silverstone, that is their racing done, and we'll see you again next time.